We met at a meeting in a social centre in Nottingham in 2003.
A political meeting?
A political
You were an
meeting,
activist,
yeah.
an environmental activist. What were you campaigning about, against?
Back in 2003, we were campaigning around the coming G8 summit that took place in Scotland, and around free trade agreements and
lawfully,
issues.
peacefully campaigning, or at times possibly breaking the law? There might have been a reason for police to be interested in your activities.
I think what we know about the undercover policing units is that they have, since 1968, been infiltrating any kind of political dissent in this country and also abroad.
Infiltrating is one thing, and obviously police have police work to do, but to get involved in a personal relationship seems, frankly, to cross a line. What did you think about Mark when you first met him?
He was charming, he was funny. He claimed to be from a neighbourhood near where I grew up. He claimed to like the same sort of music that I liked and to share a lot of my interests. Since finding out that Mark was a cop, I've met a lot of other women who've also had relationships with undercover police. And actually, these police are trained to mirror. So they're trained to make you feel like they share your interests. They're trained to make you feel like you have things in common. And it's a form of very conscious emotional manipulation that they use to get into people's lives.
So you got to know him very well, you're very intimate with him, he met your family, he was at all sorts of family occasions. Was there ever a moment, and hindsight's a wonderful thing, was there ever a moment when you look back and you think, that didn't add up, or something not quite right about this, there was something he wasn't telling me?
It's so hard to look back. I mean, hindsight is 20/20. I don't know if there was ever a moment at the time, but obviously now I look back and think I should have known, I should have realised. But
at no point did you feel like this wasn't someone you could trust implicitly?
They are professionals who are trained to manipulate your emotions, so we never stood a chance.
2 years after you met, you split up anyway. You had lived together for a while, hadn't you? How long after you split up, because it wasn't finding out about him that caused the split, how long afterwards did you find out, actually, this wasn't a real relationship at all?
We were very close for another 7 years, and then I received a phone call saying that people had found out that he was actually an undercover police officer.
And what did you feel at that moment?
At that moment, I was obviously devastated, and it felt like a very, very personal betrayal. I think what's significant now is that I didn't just have a relationship with Mark. It wasn't that I had a relationship with a man and he lied to me and he betrayed me. I had a relationship with an entire undercover unit. There were people following us around. There were people making the decisions about whether Mark would visit my parents that weekend or not, whether he would live with me, it wasn't Mark I was having the relationship with. And that's what's significant about this case, is that the police have now admitted that other officers did know about the relationship. Other officers were making decisions that impacted on that relationship. And so what we want to know is, how high up did that go? I believe that these relationships were used as a tactic. The police are trying to say that this was a terrible mistake, it should never have happened. I don't believe that's the case at all.
This was a strategy, you believe?
I believe that they used women as a tool in their undercover operation.
Is that what you're hoping the IPT will reveal?
Well, to an extent, it already has, because the police have now said, after 8 years of suggesting that these were rogue officers and that it was a problem of supervision, they've now said, no, actually, the managers knew about and acquiesced to the relationships taking place. I want the IPT to get to the truth. Right, up until now, not a single one of these relationships cases has actually been examined by anyone outside of the police. So they will make apologies, they will make declarations, but they're not showing anybody the documents. They're not making any real statements about what actually happened.
If you do get those statements, or you do get that information, do you think you will be able to, and I don't mean this as flippantly as it's going to sound, not leave the chapter behind, but you'll be able to move on with your life? Because it seems to me that the issues that you have because of this are impacting further in trust and intimacy. And
I sincerely hope to be able to move on. I don't think I will ever get past what happened. I mean, the effects that it has on your ability to trust, on your relationships, is obviously.
Has it hindered that for you and for relationships?
Of course it has. Of course it has. I mean, it affects all your memories. You can no longer trust who you are. You can no longer be sure about what you believe, because for years, and it's not just Mark, because I'm now aware of at least 6 other people who I've known in different aspects of my life who were also undercover police officers. I mean, these operations were massive. They were really inside every kind of political mobilisation, every kind of protest.